What dark secret are you hiding from everyone?
I had an IBS attack once and had to violently shit in a church grounds behind someone's car. Used underwear to wipe too and left that there. Not proud. I had one in high school. I managed to clean any trace and nobody found out. Nobody knew, except my father, who was unusually helpful, understood me and supported me, and never talked about it again. It was my darkest secret half of my life. But then I understood that it's natural and that I've took the good decisions and I have nothing to be shamefully about. And also, I have way darker secrets now. My wife, her mom, and I bought a house about 2 years ago, just from talking to the neighbors. I'd gathered that the family who lived here before had a daughter that was mixed up with the wrong people. We had some random person knock on our door at night, saying he needed gas. We are down a long driveway. No way you'd randomly walk up to our house to ask for help. I think he was looking for the people who used to live here. And then another time, Sunday morning, making pancakes for the family. I get a knock on the door, and it's 4 sheriff's officers saying they received a 911 call that hung up. And it was from the house. We don't have a landline. And I assured them, my wife and 2-year-old did not make any call. They mentioned a name of the previous occupants, and I let them know we moved in earlier this year, and they seemed okay with that and left. Anyways, I was doing some yard work and struck up conversation with the neighbor. He saw the police cars and asked what was up. I told him the situation, and he just goes, "Oh yeah, that family was messed up. The cops were probably being cautious considering the shooting." "What shooting?" I ask. He kind of looks at me with a sad, worried face. "The shooting in your house." Wait, what I say, truly baffled. He then proceeds to tell me that about 2 years before the father in the house confronted his daughter and boyfriend, he didn't like and shot and killed the boyfriend in the house. Our state doesn't have a disclosure law, so we never knew. I was blown away. All the strange happenings kind of made sense now. He said the friends of the victim had kind of terrorized them for a while because the police were taking so long to press charges, slash tears, midnight fireworks, odd shit that the neighbors hated. I was shocked, but just said, "That's crazy. But hey, do me a favor and never tell my wife or Mill about that. They are a little spooked by things like that." So the TRDL is that we live in a murder house, and I'm the only one of my family that knows. My PTSD isn't getting better. I have nightly nightmares of the industrial accident I was in. I see my coworker with his burnt face every night. I no longer scream in my sleep because of it. I'm no longer terrified as much by it. Even though I know it's not my fault, I feel an enormous amount of guilt for what happened to him. Sometimes when I'm not sleeping, I'll hear the scream he made in the distance, and it'll make my blood feel like ice. Therapy hasn't done much. I found my adoption papers a few years ago when I was looking for a copy of my birth certificate. I know my birth mom, I just never had a relationship with her. My maternal grandmother took me in 2002. I never knew she adopted me. I just knew that one day I ended up living with her after telling her, "One day I don't want to go back home, lol." I also found the letter that my mom wrote as to why she was giving me up. That one really hurt. Edit, didn't expect this many upvotes, honestly, lol. Thank you everyone for your kind words. My grandma is really the sweetest person ever. I'm forever grateful for her. But I just wanted to say, now that I'm older, I understand why my mom did what she did, and believe it or not, we actually have a cordial relationship now. LOL. Edit 2. This brought back some unsettling feelings. I thought I was over. Lol. But I want to thank you guys for your own stories and kind words. They made me realize that I'm not the only one who had a rough life growing up, and I shouldn't let that stop me from healing and being the best that I can be. This has been one of the worst years of my life. I've been taking loss after loss, and I honestly felt like unaliving myself. I kept coming back to read the comments, and I see how strong everyone is and didn't let what they went through stop them from doing better. So I just wanted to say that I've made an appointment to start therapy again, and I'm going to be completely honest about how I truly feel and open up more. Thank you so much, Reddit. Also, I haven't been the best granddaughter lately, so I'm spending more quality time with my grandma and helping her out with whatever she needs. My grandma was in a car accident and broke her ankle, so she stayed at my house, and my we took care of her while she recovered. I was entering puberty at the time and discovered that you could order adult content on cable. The bill that month came out to $500. My mom thought it was my grandma because her novellas were on like channel 50, 60, and the adult content was 500, 600. I've literally never told anyone to this day. ETA. I am Latina, and adult content for women is still pretty taboo in my culture. So that's why I'm so scared to tell anyone. Even if my mom and I are pretty open with each other, I'm still embarrassed. However, my grandma passed away in 2019, and I felt compelled to tell my secret. But my mom sees that story as a fun memory she has of my grandma that she likes to look back on and laugh about. So I don't know if I should. I was molested on a cruise ship by an employee when I was 8, happened about 30 years ago. I am so sorry. This doesn't have to be a secret. If you can talk to a therapist, it would likely help process what happened to you and minimize the effects on your life going forward. Take care of yourself. Not a huge secret in comparison to some of these answers, but I feel the guilt of it often. After my fiance passed, I napped all the time for over a year. My aunt was calling me one day, and I just denied her call, went back to napping. It was my aunt calling because my grandma, who was very sick with cancer, wanted to say happy birthday a day before my birthday. Grandma died the next day. I should have picked up the damn phone. My brother and I did a 23andMe. We discovered we have a half-sibling, same father, who is older than us. I messaged them, but no reply. Since the half-sibling is older, it was during my father's military career, which was short-lived because he got a dishonorable discharge, that he hides from his family still. Kind of similar story here. 6 years ago, when I was 24, my mom randomly told me I have an older half-sister that my dad completely abandoned. She only knew of my sister's mother's name, so I searched for her on Facebook and found my sister. She is the spitting image of our father, so I knew immediately it was true. Both my sister and her mom confirmed it, and my sister and I immediately started bonding. We are incredibly close now. My father's side was overjoyed when I found her, as they knew of her, but never what happened to her. We've all welcomed her with open arms, except my father. When she reached out to him, he said some rude things, then yelled at me, saying she wasn't my sister. He insulted me, blaming me for causing the rift in the family. Her and I did 23andMe, and we matched as half-siblings. So now there's no denying it. I lost a shitty father, but gained an incredible sibling. That means 10x more to me. My grandpa was stationed in Okinawa, Japan during the Korean War while in the Marines. He hooked up with a woman there and she got pregnant. So I have a Japanese aunt and a few cousins in Japan whom I've never met before. My wife and I aren't officially married. No one knows. We had a ceremony and everything, reception, the whole 9 yards. We just never did the official paperwork. We realized that since she's going back to school, it benefits her financially to go through financial aid as single rather than married. When she finishes up, we're going to head over to town hall and finish the last step. I never have other plans that I just can't cancel. 4 p.m., wallow in self-pity. 4:30 p.m., stare into the abyss. 5 p.m., solve world hunger and tell no one. 5:30 p.m., jazzercise. 6:30 p.m., dinner with me. I can't cancel that again. 7 p.m., wrestle with my self-loathing. I'm booked. Of course, if I bump the loathing to 9, I could still be done in time to lay in my bed, stare at the ceiling, and slip slowly into madness. I was married for 13 years to my best friend. We had what I thought was a great, easy marriage. One day, our 5-year-old daughter told me that he had sexually abused her. I was shocked, devastated, and afraid. He was one of those fun guys everyone loves to be around. I immediately called the police and he was arrested. When they started investigating him, they found out that he had been arrested while in college for exposing himself to very young boys. He only got a slap on the wrist that time because he came from a very wealthy family. One of his uncles was governor of the state we lived in. I was so ashamed, I told our friends that he had an affair and moved away. But the truth was that he was in prison for 5 years. I picked up the pieces, sent our daughter to therapy, and spent the next 15 years being a mother, paying for private school, cool trips, etc. She was my life. Then, when she went to college, he reached out to her over Facebook. When I saw she was communicating with him, I was shocked, devastated, and afraid all over again. I called and told her that she was an adult, but I thought she should be careful because he's not safe. She hung up on me and has not spoken to me since. That was 4 years ago. I send her $40,000 a year still to pay for her medical school. It's all been almost unbelievable. Thank you for allowing me to share it here. This is my worst nightmare. I commend you for your strength and perseverance in protecting your daughter, even if she doesn't understand that right now. I hope one day she comes to her senses and realizes what a great mother she has. I owe the bank $100K. Hey, bud, I think they know, and they will never ever forget. Never. I think I'm beginning to lose my mind. Lately, I've been having trouble remembering things that I've known for years. Sometimes when people talk to me, their words just don't make sense to me when everyone else seems to get it. I've become super paranoid. I'm having an extremely hard time concentrating. And I've been finding it more and more difficult to talk to people. I'm kind of scared. Edit, I'm only 26. Never had COVID. Most people in my family think that my mother recently died suddenly from complications due to cancer. But she really died from the toxic effects of oxycodone, morphine, fentanyl, and methamphetamine. Seems as though she just had herself a secret death party. Sounds like the concoction my mom drank on her last day in September, but it was sanctioned by the state, Colorado made. It was a beautiful day with all of us there. She was eager to be done with her body. I'm sorry for your loss. She was eager to be done with her body. Wow, I think I'm going to remember this forever. Powerful. When my mother-in-law passed away years ago, my wife and I were leaving the hospital room, and my wife paused and turned to her mother's lifeless body on the bed and said, "Well, it's just a body now." Then we left. It really is weird how instantly it happens. We go from being everything to just a thing in a single breath. I watched my old cat die, in my arms, in fact. Knew she was very ill and took her to the vet. The receptionist demanded I take a seat and wait. She died in my arms while waiting. I walked up to the receptionist and told her, "Well, she's dead now," and then she grabbed the vet. I didn't want her to suffer. I hope she wasn't in pain. I saw the light leave her eyes. It was very distinct, moving from life to death. I'll never forget it. One of my closest coworkers, who is an integral part to our very large corporation, killed a man in his late teens and threw the body in a lake. He only got off on a technicality. I work remotely, so I don't build a lot of personal relationships with people I work with regularly. I Googled his full name. It freaked me out at first, but I've kind of gotten over it. I wonder if anyone else knows. It happened 40 plus years ago. He will retire soon, and then I might ask another coworker about it. I just don't want to stir the pot. When I was around 5 or 6, my mom and dad were fighting just about every day. Well, I was napping on the couch when my mom came in very upset, and she shook me awake. She asked me if I saw the girl my dad brought home. I've always felt terrible for this. BC, I hadn't seen anyone but my dad that whole day. I'm pretty sure he was just playing video games like usual, but for some reason, in my sleepy kid brain, I answered yes. I said she was with him in their room. I'm honestly not sure why I lied like that, but they got a divorce shortly after, and I always felt like it was my fault. Until I recently found out my little sister is actually my half-sister. But that's a whole other story. Edit, for clarification, my dad had been cheating with my mom's sister, and my mom was cheating with one of their friends to get back at him. She thought he was cheating with a different girl, but found out later it was my aunt. Honestly, their relationship was on its way out. I don't feel bad about it now, since a few years ago, we found out my little sister is my half-sister from the affair my mom had. Therapists specifically advise against asking young kids questions like this, because kids will seek their parents' approval to the point of lying, if they think that's what the parents want to hear. Your mother was expecting you to say yes, so it wasn't that you lied out of nowhere, it was that you went along with what you thought she wanted you to say.